Good evening, everyone. We request everyone to kindly settle down. We will shortly begin with the event. Sustainable development is the masterful balance of meeting our own needs without jeopardizing the future generation's ability to do the same. With this thought, Thermax welcomes all the distinguished guests, speakers, and everyone assembled here to the first edition of Gapshap 2023. In an era where sustainability has emerged as a fundamental catalyst in all aspects of our lives, it falls upon each individual to align ourselves around and actions around planet, people, and progress. With this in mind, the event today is focused on advanced technologies and upcoming developments in the field of construction, with an underlying theme of sustainably developed environment in construction space. Before we proceed with the schedule of the day, we would like to begin with the traditional lamp lighting ceremony. I would like to invite on stage our esteemed guests of the day, Mr. Kirtiraj Jilkar, Executive Vice President, BU Head PNES, Mr. Ravi Varanasi, Global Commercials Head Chemicals, Mr. Manoj Bhandari, Chemicals R&D Head, and Mr. Dinesh Mandana, BU Head Chemicals, to join them in the lamp lighting ceremony. I would now like to request Mr. Ravi Varanasi, Global Commercial Head Chemicals, to kindly present the welcome address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this lovely evening of sharing ideas and learning. I usually am a very extempore speaker, so I thought I'll do an extempore speech here based on the concept. But one of the young minds in the marketing department said, "Can we write the speech for you?" So I was like, "No, it's okay. I'll ask ChatGPT to do it for me." So, and they were like, "No, but we already made something for you." So I said, "Okay." So I compared both the speeches and I compared what I had in my mind, and I chose to read out what my marketing people have actually written down, because I felt that generation, if they have these kind of ideas and passion towards the planet, her people, and human progress, I should acknowledge it. So with your permission, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read it out. A very warm welcome to all of you here today at the inaugural edition of Gapshap 2023, an event dedicated to exploring advanced technologies and upcoming developments in the field of construction, with a special emphasis on creating a sustainably developed environment. On behalf of Thermax, I extend my heartfelt greetings to each and every one of you. At Thermax, we believe that sustainability is the key to an organization's growth, and it is our collective responsibility to prioritize the well-being of our planet, her people, and our human progress. With this vision in mind, we have organized Gapshap 2023. A warm welcome to Ashish Bhandari, our MD CEO. With this vision in mind, we have organized Gapshap 2023 as a platform for sharing experiences, insights, and best practices in the construction industry, where the shift towards circularity and sustainability is undeniably taking place. We named this event Gapshap with the intention of dissociating it from any specific brand and instead fostering an environment focused solely on technological advancements and ideas. This allows for unbiased knowledge sharing and paves the way for innovative collaborations that transcend traditional boundaries. Today we have the privilege of hosting some of the finest minds in the industry, and you're going to listen to them very soon, who have graciously accepted our invitation to be guest speakers and share their expertise. We are truly honored to have each and every one of you in the room, and we believe that your presence will enrich our discussions and inspire us all to actively contribute towards building a sustainable environment. Once again, a warm welcome to all of you, and I'm wishing that all of us gets to know each other better through the evening. Just a few house rules. If you all can put your phones on silent, it will not distract the speakers or the person sitting next to you. And the other request is, since this is an event designed based on a concept called Pecha Kucha, the time for question and answers is not really considered as part of the speaker's keynote address. If you do have questions, please wait till the speaker finishes, and then maybe during dinner break when we all meet in a more informal and relaxed fashion, we can have the opportunity to ask questions and seek clarification. Thank you and warm welcome again.
Thank you, Ravi, for setting the tone of the event. Before we move ahead, I would like to invite Mr. Rupesh Dalvi, Safety Officer from Westin, to apprise us with the safety instructions.
I am Rupesh Darvi, working as the Loss Prevention Assistant Manager. Welcome you all to the Westin Pune Koregaon Park. I am here to shortly brief you on hotel safety and security procedure for your understanding. You are currently seated at Jewel Hall, which is located at ground level of the hotel. You can see left and right side fire exit doors, which leads you to assembly point that is near main entry of the hotel. Our hotel is well equipped with all fire, life and safety systems like smoke detector, water sprinklers, hydrants, fire extinguishers and AED machines. Doctor on-call facility is available. We have nearest hospital are Budrani Hospital and Ruby Hall Hospital for in case of any medical emergency. Our hotel staff have well trained on first aid procedure and fire fighting also. First aid box are available all over in the hotel. Our hotel staff will be around to assist you in case of any emergency. Thank you very much and have a nice evening to you all.
Thank you, Mr. Rupesh. Dear audience, this forum is derived by the Japanese storytelling format for fast-paced presentations. Driven by their desire to talk less and show more, Astrid Klein and Mark Ditham of Tokyo's Klein Ditham Architecture created this format in February 2003. It was a way to enable young designers to meet, show their work, and exchange ideas in a short time duration. That is 20 seconds for each slide in a presentation of 20 slides. Tweaking the format a little, every speaker here today is being allotted 20 minutes for their presentation. So, it's now time to get the ball rolling to start with Gapshap. It is my pleasure, dear audience, to introduce to you all the first speaker of the day, Mr. Jagdish Kadam. Mr. Kadam is the founding chairman and director of Rajpath Infracon. Over the past 33 years, his dedicated work in irrigation development and infrastructure projects has played a vital role in enhancing the state's agricultural capabilities and improving road networks. His exceptional contributions have earned him numerous accolades and widespread recognition within the industry. Mr. Jagdish Kadam has been felicitated with a Special Appreciation Award at the hands of Honorable Nitin Gadkari, Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways, for outstanding work towards water conservation for national highway construction in May 2022. Rajpath Infracon has 2 world records to its name. In June 2022, a new Guinness World Record for laying bituminous concrete single-lane road of 75 plus kilometers, that is 42.2 kilometer double lane in 105 hours and 33 minutes, was established at Amravati, District Nagpur in the state of Maharashtra, India. This accomplishment was dedicated to the nation to commemorate the 75 grand years of Indian independence during the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Also, in May 2021, Rajpath Infracon had achieved a world record for laying bituminous concrete single-lane road of 39.691 kilometers in 24 hours. In addition to this remarkable professional achievements, His dedication to uplifting communities and fostering positive change is truly inspiring. Before we move on to Mr. Kadam's address, I would like to request the team to showcase a video that talks about the challenges that the team faced in establishing this new Guinness World Record. Can we have the video, please?
Success, as with most things, starts with attitude. An optimistic attitude and perseverance for the cause of achieving the goal is the key factor behind success. This is what Rajpath Infracon Private Limited has in them, motivated by fierce patriotism. The project Zauri 2.0 was born, driven by a will to pave a road of 75 kilometers and dedicate the effort to the nation to commemorate the grand 75 years of Indian independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The honest intent was also to endorse support of the project of Gati Shakti launched by our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi under the able leadership of Minister of Road Transport and Highways Mr. Nitin Gadkari for multimodal, integrated and seamless connectivity for the movement of people, goods and services across our vast country. Despite making one world record already, everything about this time was a new experience. Submission of the application form and documentation to qualify for making such an attempt to the Guinness World Records Office was not an easy task. A special core management team was formed and the best suited field workers were identified to execute this ambitious project. For 5 long months,
I now request the entire team to start with the attempt.
the keys turned in the machines and paving began. Then on, the work continued seamlessly and non-stop, round the clock for 5 days. The team's tenacity and perseverance was tested to the limits. The field team had to combat the 47 degrees Celsius temperature of the scorching sun and survived a 150 degrees Celsius of the freshly paved bituminous concrete on the ground. There were tricky bridges to be paved, but Mr. Kadam's presence and guidance saw the team handle such curveballs smoothly. The front and back end team went sleepless night after night to watch, monitor, supervise and ensure no glitches or hindrances created any obstructions in the work. They ate dinners in the fields and did not bother to even get changed. There was no dearth of challenges that cropped out of nowhere despite intense planning. One of the batch mix plants broke down and the feed for the continuously operating paver was in jeopardy. This was managed by getting the required quality of bituminous concrete from a batch mix plant 80 kilometers away. The machine maintenance tasks included the oiling, greasing, maintenance, troubleshooting and fueling without ever halting the paver. The expert teams from respective machine suppliers stood vigil to ensure seamless operations of such jobs and were carried out with fluent expertise. Despite all this, the work did not slow down or halt at all. Accepting challenging assignments and making the impossible look simple has been the hallmark of Rajpath Infracon Private Limited. Rajpath look at this accomplishment as an invaluable opportunity to leave its mark in this scheme of nation building and development that truly defines their motto, building the nation, beaming with pride.
I would request Mr. Kadam to kindly address the gathering.
I have 17 minutes more. I know it. I must appreciate Thermax for initiating such a good event. This is, I think, the first event, the first year of Gapshap 2023. And I am the first speaker. I know my responsibility. Let me clear that I am a happy associate of Thermax. Thermax Chemical Division, we are into infrastructure development. And Thermax Sugar Division, because Thermax is associated with Down Sugar Private Limited, which is supposed to be the biggest single unit sugar factory in Maharashtra with 17,500 TCT capacity, 370 KLPD distillery and 82 megawatt power generation. Thank you, Thermax. See, there was a 3-minute video clip showing the Guinness World Record, which did by our Rajpath team. This Guinness World Record, see, we did a world record by laying 39.69 kilometer of a bituminous concrete single lane in the year 2021 on May 30th, when second COVID era was finished. And in that second COVID era, that was horrible, we all know. So everyone in the industry, not in India but in the world, was demoralized. So वही अस्तित्व की लड़ाई लड़ रहे थे हम. I was so demoralized. और मैंने सोचा कि this is like the survival war for us. What to do? काफी आसपास के लोग चल बसे थे. इंडस्ट्री ठीक काम नहीं कर रही थी, कोई भी इंडस्ट्री. देयर वाज लॉट्स एंड लॉट्स ऑफ चैलेंजेस. मैंने इंडस्ट्री में मेरे कलीग्स को पूछा कि आपके अलग अलग इंडस्ट्री के मेरे जो दोस्त हैं, उनको मैंने पूछा कि आपके इंडस्ट्री में क्या चल रहा है. उन्होंने कहा कि जगदीश, आपके इंडस्ट्री में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में जो चल रहा है वही हमारे इंडस्ट्री में चल रहा है. तो मैंने सोचा कि अगर ये सभी जगह पे है तो ये नेगेटिव नकारात्मकता जो है उसको अगर मात करनी है, उसके ऊपर ओवरकम करना है, तो सकारात्मक दृष्टिकोण से कुछ काम करना चाहिए. और फिर हमने सोचा कि ऐसा कुछ काम करके हमारे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में हम दिखाएं ताकि हम बता सकते हैं सोसाइटी को हमने ये हमारे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फील्ड में किया, आप अपनी फील्ड में करो और इस नकारात्मकता के ऊपर सकारात्मक दृष्टिकोण रख के मात करो. मैंने जानने की कोशिश की क्या वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड क्या था इसमें. गिनीज के पहले वाली 2021 वाली बात है. तो पता चला कि देयर वाज अ वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड of laying 25.54 kilometer of a bituminous concrete single lane in 24 hours time. So we decided to break. And so we decided to execute 30 kilometers. मैंने मेरे साथीदारों को कहा कि ऐसा करना है अपने को, और बस 30 मई को सुबह 7 बजे शुरुआत की. अगेंस्ट ऑल ऑड्स, वक्त नहीं है, बता नहीं पाऊंगा सब चीजें, लेकिन रात को 10 बजे पहला जो वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड हुआ था 25.54 किलोमीटर का, राजपथ के टीम ने वो ब्रेक कर दिया. मैंने सोचा कि एक 2-3 घंटे के अंदर, 4 घंटे के अंदर 30 किलोमीटर का हो जाएगा, लेकिन लोग रुकने के लिए तैयार नहीं थे. उन्होंने कहा कि सर 24 घंटे हम लोग काम करेंगे, देखेंगे कितना होता है. और वी डिड 39.69 किलोमीटर इन अ सिंगल डे. और उससे इतना कॉन्फिडेंस अच्छा आ गया हमारे सभी लोगों के बीच में कि बस पूछो ही मत. आई वॉज एक्सपीरियंसिंग दैट. उसके बाद स्टेट के लिए हुआ था. उसके बाद मुझे गडकरी साहब ने नागपुर में बुला लिया. आई वॉज वर्किंग विथ देम ऑल्सो इन NHI. उन्होंने कहा कि जगदीश, स्टेट के लिए, PWD के लिए आपने ये किया है महाराष्ट्र के अंदर, देश के लिए क्या कर रहे हो, NHI के लिए क्या कर रहे हो. मैंने, दैट वाज अ सडन क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम हिम, सो दैट एक्सपेक्टेशन आई कुड नॉट आंसर. बट मैंने उनको कहा कि नितिन जी, मैं ऐसा कुछ काम करना चाहूंगा कि आप गर्व से कहेंगे कि ये राजपथ ने किया है, ये NHI के लिए किया है, ये देश के लिए किया है. सोचता रहा. एक महीना सवा महीना के अंदर ख्याल आ गया कि चलो देखते गिनीज वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड क्या है इसके पहले. So the earlier Guinness World Record was laying a bituminous concrete continuously for 25.27 kilometer, and they did it in 242 hours. This Guinness World Record was executed in Qatar near Doha by a Qatarian government company, Ashghul, in the year 2021, February 27. So हमने सोचा कि ये तोड़ने की कोशिश करेंगे, और हम ऐसे ही बैठे थे. मेरे वॉर रूम जिसको कहा जाता है, हमने वॉर रूम का नाम भी दिया था जावली. उसमें बैठे थे और चर्चा कर रहे थे, तो किसी एक ने, मेरे साथीदार ने कहा कि हम 75 किलोमीटर करेंगे, 25 से 75. एंड आई इमीडिएटली रिप्लाई, यस, विल डू 75. व्हाई 75? दैट वाज आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव, द 75th एनिवर्सरी ऑफ इंडियन independence. So we decided to go for 75 kilometer. We'll try for it. मैंने हाँ तो कर दिया. 5 मिनट के बाद बस बिल्कुल एकदम शॉक सा बैठ गया, जोर का झटका हल्के से लगा, और सोचा कि अरे मैंने क्या कह दिया, 25 to 75 किलोमीटर. लेकिन मन में ये तय कर लिया था, अब पिछवाड़ नहीं, अब सोचना है तो आगे की सोचना है, और दुनिया को दिखा देना है कि ये मेरा भारत बदल रहा है. इसलिए 4 महीने तक हमने काफी माइक्रो प्लानिंग की. मेरे टोटल टीम जो थी 728 लोगों को मैंने इकट्ठा किया, चुन लिया, जो गो गेटर होते हैं ना, हर एक कंपनी में ऐसे कुछ लोग होते हैं गो गेटर, जो जिनके ऊपर जिम्मेदारी आप सौंप दो, बस दे विल डू इट. ऐसे 728 लोगों को चुना, लेकिन उनको कुछ थीम देनी चाहिए थी. इसलिए आई एम वेरी फॉन्ड ऑफ छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज. आई वर्क विथ बाबा साहब पुरंदरे फॉर ऑलमोस्ट 25 years. I am the trustee of Shiva Srushti, which has been the first phase, has been inaugurated in the hands of Honorable Home Minister Amit Bhai Shah in the month of February 19th, the Shivaji Maharaj Jayanti Day. It is in Pune. तो उनका शिव चरित्र मैंने काफी पढ़ा, जाना, और मैंने सोचा कि इस गिनीज वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड के अंदर ये शिव सूत्र जो है ना, द मैनेजमेंट प्रिंसिपल्स टॉट बाय छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज. मैं हमेशा लोगों को कहता हूं कि अपने यहां भी इतने सारे फिलोसोफर्स हैं ना, भारत के अंदर भी, कहीं बाहर जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. आप पढ़ो, जानो, जानने की कोशिश करो, लेकिन अपने यहां भी संत ज्ञानेश्वर है, ज्ञानेश्वरी है उनकी, संत तुकाराम है, तुकाराम गाथा है, स्वामी विवेकानंद जी है, छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज है, संत रामदास है, दासबोध है. सब सिखाते हैं अपने को व्हाट आर द मैनेजमेंट प्रिंसिपल्स, हाउ टू लिव द लाइफ एंड फेस द चैलेंजेस. तो ये शिव सूत्र मैंने लोगों के बीच में डालने की कोशिश की, बस इतना ही काम किया. मैंने स्टोरीज बना ली छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज के जीवन चरित्र की, और वो मैं बताते रहा इनको, लोगों को. 4 महीने तक साइट पे जाता रहा. अमरावती अकोला का ये नेशनल हाईवे विच कनेक्ट्स द ईस्ट एंड वेस्ट ऑफ इंडिया फ्रॉम सूरत टू कैलकाटा, दिस इज वन ऑफ द हेवीएस्ट नेशनल हाईवेज अवेलेबल इन इंडिया. तो मैं ये मेरे लोगों को कहता रहा कि देखो ये शिव सूत्र जो है ना, तो हम ये 75 किलोमीटर का रास्ता अब डिक्लेयर किया है, तो बनाना ही है. और इसके लिए माइक्रो प्लानिंग के तहत शुरुआत की मैंने. वहां का जो वॉर रूम हमारी थी उसको नाम दिया जावली. क्यों जावली? क्योंकि छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज ने अफजल खान को जावली में बुलाया था. महाराज को ये पता था कि अगर हम अफजल खान को सामने जाते हैं खुले मैदान में तो खैर नहीं, तो उसको वो जावली में ही लाना उन्होंने पसंद किया. वहां लाया और वहां उसको मारा. तो इसीलिए इस वॉर रूम को हमने जावली का नाम दिया. और लोगों को मैंने कहा तब छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज ने कुछ स्टोरीज ऐसी नैरेट करनी पड़ती है, लोगों के दिमाग में डालनी पड़ती है, तो ही वो उठ जाते हैं और लग जाते हैं काम के लिए. ये काफी बार मैंने अनुभव भी किया था. उसके पहले वाला जो रिकॉर्ड हुआ हमारा, उसी वक्त भी मैंने ये अनुभव किया था. तो इसलिए लोगों को मैंने कहा कि तब छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज ने स्वराज की स्थापना की, तब उनके साथ क्या था? हाथी, घोड़े, तोहफे, माओलाज, उनकी आर्मी, उनको लेके उन्होंने स्वराज की स्थापना की, हिंदवी स्वराज। बस हमें भी उन्हीं की तरह यहां आज अपने देश के लिए लड़ना है। अपने पास क्या है लड़ने के लिए? मैंने बोला ये रणभूमि है 75 किलोमीटर की। दिस इज अ बैटल फील्ड एंड वी हैव द अपने पास हॉट मिक्स प्लांट है, हाइवा टिपर्स है, टैंडम रोलर्स है, पीटीआर है, और इनके साथ मैं खुद और आप सब 728 लोग छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज के मावला है। और अपने को जाकर 3 जून को अपना ये इवेंट शुरू हो जाएगा। मैंने तय किया था 108 घंटे में वो 75 किलोमीटर कंप्लीट करने के बारे में। मैंने उनको कहा कि ये 75 किलोमीटर रूपी अफजल खान को खत्म करना है, तभी रुकना है। 3 जून को शुरू किया, 7:27 को। काफी चैलेंजेस सामने थे, लेकिन हमने ये सोचा, क्योंकि NHI थी, गिनीज वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड, इट इज वन ऑफ द टफेस्ट वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड। उन्होंने उनकी टीम भेजी थी, उसमें जो 2 सीनियर हाईवे इंजीनियर्स थे, क्वालिटी एक्सपर्ट्स थे, 2 सीनियर एडवोकेट्स थे, 2 टाइम कीपर्स थे, 3 शिफ्ट में वो काम कर रहे थे। 24 लोगों की टीम लंदन की उनके ऑफिस से उन्होंने सर्टिफाई करी थी, और वो उनको भेजा था। एक एडजुडिकेटर की टीम उन्होंने उनके साथ में भेजी थी। 4 कैमराज वो लगे हुए थे, दिन रात काम चल रहा था। बारिश का मौसम था 3 जून से 7 जून, प्री मानसून, और बिटुमिनस कंक्रीट रोड हम लोग कर रहे थे। तो NHI के साथ, इंडिपेंडेंट इंजीनियर के साथ ये सब लोग आड़े आ गए, और उन्होंने कहा कि ना, आप नहीं कर सकते हो। मैंने बोला क्यों? आई एम अ सिविल इंजीनियर, आई कैन कन्विंस यू, come on, sit across the table, we'll discuss। 2 घंटे डिस्कस किया। मैंने बोला बारिश अगर वो बोले आती है तो क्या है, बिटुमिनस और बारिश पानी का और उसका वो नहीं जमता है तो क्या होगा, वो खराब हो जाएगा रोड। मैंने बोला कि 2 किलोमीटर का पॉलीथीन पेपर लाया हूं मैं, वो थर्मैक्स जैसे और कई कंपनियों के एडमिक्सचर्स मेरे पास है, जो रैपिड कंफर्मेशन हो जाता है। मटेरियल कोई यहां वहां नहीं जाएगा। वो मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं थे। अगर बारिश जोरे में आ गई, पानी अंदर आ गया, घुस गया तो क्या? बहुत सारी कोशिश की मेरे, लेकिन मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं। तो मैंने उनको कहा कि जाने दो, ये बाजू रोक। 2 घंटे मैंने उनके साथ बहस किया। उसके बाद मैंने उनको बोला कि उसके पीछे एक फिलॉसफी है, देयर इज एन इंडियन फिलॉसफी बिहाइंड दिस। मैं आपको बताऊं, अगर वो आप सुनते हो तो जान जाओगे और मान जाओगे कि यस, यू कैन गो अहेड। उन्होंने बोला क्या इसमें फिलॉसफी क्या हो सकती है? मैंने बोला देखो, यहां महाराष्ट्र के अंदर मानसून आता है 7 जून, मृग नक्षत्र। मैंने और मृग नक्षत्र जो है ना, तो ये पर्जन्य देवता जो है, उसका राजा कौन है? इंद्रदेव। तो मैंने इन लोगों को कहा कि मैंने इंद्र देवता को प्रार्थना करी है कि राजा, ये 5 दिन के अंदर हम जो काम करने वाले हैं, यहां कृपा करके बारिश मत आने दो। बोले ऐसे कैसे सुनेगा? हाँ, मैंने बोला उनको ये भी कहा राजा को कि आपकी राजधानी है अमरावती, और मैं अमरावती से ही काम शुरू करने वाला हूं। तो आपके अमरावती राजधानी से काम शुरू होने वाला है, चलेगा। ये 5 दिन के अंदर आप इस 75 किलोमीटर पे बारिश मत आने दो। बस बाद में काफी बारिश चाहिए किसानों के लिए, देश के लिए। तो उन्होंने बोला ऐसे कैसे मानेगा? हाँ, नहीं, मैंने बोला उसके साथ भी और एक कारण है। मैंने बोला कि 7 जून को मृग नक्षत्र महाराष्ट्र में शुरू हो जाता है। मेरा जन्मदिन 7 जून है, इसलिए मैं इंद्र देवता का पुत्र हूं। मैंने उसको बोला बेटे के नाते मेरी ये बात मान ले। अब ये इतना बताने के बाद उन्होंने कहा कि हैट्स ऑफ टू यू, अब अगर इतनी जिद आप लेके बैठे हो तो गो अहेड। 7:27 को 3 जून को शुरू किया काम, और 7 जून को शाम को 6 बजे हमने 75 किलोमीटर क्रॉस किए। इसमें मेरी टीम जो 728 लोग जो थे ना, कई लोग तो सोए भी नहीं। यहां लोगों के लिए पूरी टीम तैयार करके रखी थी। यहां मैं आपको बताऊं, इस 5 दिन के अंदर, 105 घंटे के अंदर, दूसरी एक विशेषता ये है, आप इसका जवाब मैं भी नहीं दे पाऊंगा। ये 5 दिन के अंदर अमरावती और अकोला, द मेजर सिटीज, 3 दिन अमरावती में शाम को बारिश हुई, 2 दिन अकोला में बारिश हुई, 5 ये 75 किलोमीटर के अंदर 5 दिन में एक बूंद भी नहीं। लेकिन ये 7 जून को जब ये रिकॉर्ड बना, 7 बजे, ये एडजुडिकेटर आए थे लंदन से, उन्होंने देखा, जाना और डिक्लेयर किया। उन्होंने वो उनकी एक टैगलाइन होती है गिनीज वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड की तरफ से, ऑफिशियली अमेजिंग। वो 2 शब्दों के लिए 728 लोगों की टीम दिन रात काम करते रही। और जब 7 जून को 7:30 8 बजे हमारा ये रिकॉर्ड पूरा हुआ, तब हमने ये गिनीज वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड सर्टिफिकेट जैसे ही मिला, गडकरी साहब तब ऑनलाइन आए थे, उन्होंने 11 बजे बधाइयां दे दी हमें, और ये उनके हाथों ये गिनीज वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड हमने देश को समर्पित किया। 7 तारीख खत्म हो गई, 8 तारीख को इस 75 किलोमीटर के ऊपर तूफानी बारिश। क्या कहेंगे इसका क्या जवाब है? तो मैंने ये सोचा, मन में ठान लिया कि ऐसा शायद भगवान ने भी ये सोचा होगा कि उनको अगर फॉलोअर चाहिए, तो जो फॉलोअर हमारे जैसे, आप जैसे है, वी आर रेडी टू डू 200% कर्मा। तो वो भी सोचता होगा कि अगर इनके पीछे नहीं रहा तो मेरा फॉलोअर ही कोई रहेगा नहीं। तो रहा, माना भगवान ने, वो भी जाना। और ये जब रिकॉर्ड हमने किया, दुनिया भर में काफी इसका एप्रिसिएशन हुआ। 3 दिन बाद, क्योंकि गडकरी साहब ने वो 4 बार तो ट्वीट किया, एक बार ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर को ही टैग किया, फोन किया उन्होंने, ये क्या कर दिया जगदीश, अरे दुनिया भर से मुझे फोन आ रहा है। मैंने बोला सर मुझे भी पता नहीं ये कैसे हो गया। मैं आपको बताऊं, आपकी यहाँ क्रिएटिविटी जो है ना इंडियन माइंड्स के अंदर, इतनी सारी छोटी छोटी क्लिपिंग्स उन्होंने निकाल ली। तो मेरे सोशल मीडिया का जो मेरा बंदा था, उसको मैंने पूछा कि कितने लोगों ने विजिट किया। वो गडकरी साहब भी मुझे पूछ रहे। तो 10 तारीख को उसने बोला सारी दुनिया से, क्योंकि हमने ऑनलाइन रखा था, सारी दुनिया से 8 करोड़ लोगों ने इसको विजिट किया। ये इसका पब्लिकेशन बाद में इस साल डिस्कवरी पे भी हुआ, वर्ल्ड प्रीमियर पे। यहां इसके बाद मैंने ये तय किया वहां कि अमरावती अकोला का जहां से काम शुरू हुआ, वहां एक गिनीज वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड राजपथ टावर बनाएंगे। और उस टावर के अंदर 10 प्रिंसिपल जो अपनी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में लिखी हुई है, उस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के साथ वो पिलर खड़ा करेंगे। और नीचे जो प्लेटफॉर्म रहेगा, बड़ा सा प्लेटफॉर्म, उसके ऊपर इन लोगों के 7 से 28 लोगों के नाम परमानेंटली मैं वहां लिखने जा रहा हूं। इन लोगों को भी ये पता चले कि आखिरी वक्त तक, आखिरी श्वास तक, अगर ये इस धरती पर, इस देश में मैंने जन्म लिया, तो इस देश के लिए क्या किया है, तो कभी भी आप आके देख सकोगे कि इस देश के लिए मैंने ये किया है। कि ये गिनीज वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड बना के 75 साल जैसे ही स्वतंत्रता मिलते हुए देश को हुए, उस साल में मैंने देश को समर्पित किया। इस समर्पता के लिए हमने जो सारी कुछ मैनेजमेंट प्रिंसिपल्स थी, यानी मैंने 5M, I followed 5M, the principles of management. The first M is management, movement of traffic management. The second M was material management. The third M was manpower management. Fourth M was machinery management. Fifth M was money management. और इस 5 M को इकट्ठा करते हुए छठा M जिसको देख के हमारे लोगों ने ये काम किया, that M was for motherland Bharat Mata. And that's why I salute my people of 728 peoples of Rajpath who did this, a tremendous job for this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for those motivating words. And we wish the group a lot of future best wishes. And may you set more such records to transform our roads and our lives of the people of the nation. Thank you. I would request Mr. Dinesh Mandana to kindly felicitate Mr. Kadam. Our next speaker for the day is Mr. Sandeep Sawant. Mr. Sawant is the founder and director of India Crete Ready Mix, a dynamic venture that has been running successfully for the past 10 years. He has an experience of around 25 years in the field of construction and ready-mix concrete industry. He started his career journey with L&T Cement and RMC division, rising to become the Assistant Vice President at Lafarge Aggregates and Concrete. Along with sales and marketing, his expertise lies in strategizing long-term business directions to ensure maximum profitability in line with organizational objectives, conceptualizing and implementing sales promotional strategies as a part of brand building and market development efforts. In 2014, he started the company India Crete Ready Mix, catering to services all around Mumbai, Navi Mumbai and Thane district. Driven by a pursuit of staying at the forefront of technology, he approaches the concrete industry with an innovative approach to foster novel practices and satisfy the demands of customers. We welcome you, Mr. Sawant, and I request you to kindly address the gathering.
Good evening. After inspirational story by Mr. Kadam, it is giving me immense pressure how to engage you guys for next 20 minutes. And today I am handling a topic that is sustainable development in environment, and that too ready-mix concrete. I hope MPCB guys are not watching me. What is sustainable construction? How we can handle the C&S construction and demolition waste management, how we can control urban heatland, how we can save power, energy and fossil fuels, and how we can reduce the carbon impact and carbon footprint is a key in today's world. Though ready-mix concrete industry is little critical, still into the green zone of MPCB, but it's give us a vital role to play and control the pollution through proper strategizing the things in operation of construction, operation of ready-mix concrete plant, choosing right kind of product mixes, designing product in proper way, and at last placing it and execute it in proper way. Of course, one of the important part is at the end, if at all certain construction and demolition waste it is occurring, then how to address it properly. See, we find the environmental issues by bad management like CO2 emission, climate change, the acid rains and deforestation. But of course, by choosing right kind of alternative energy, we can control this, and I think is a need of industry to select properly the amount of the power consumption, the water consumption, controlling the biodiversity, because ultimately we are responsible for our future generations. See, this is the classical example of carbon cycle. When we are constructing a building, right from resourcing the raw material, extracting material from mines, producing those products for our betterment, and utilizing and executing construction, creating structure, this entire step is involved with carbon footprint. And if we consciously handle these material management, I think we can create long-term impact and reduce down the carbon emission and efficiency. Of course, during the delivery of the product, like constructing building or structure, the maintenance part is also important, because handling efficient way and maintaining the building, we can increase the life cycle of our structures. And as we will increase more and more life cycle of the structures, we are indirectly contributing and reducing the carbon footprint. Of course, at last, when, see, everything is having certain life, okay? At one point of time, you need to take a call whether to repair the structure or demolish the structure. If at all it is a demand that we need to demolish our structures, then we need to create the proper C&D waste management and reduce down the carbon impact and recycle the material, whatever possible way is there with us. If you, today is a time of Google and maybe Chat GPT, okay. So if you Google around and just see what is the life of any RCC structure, so we get 10 different answers right from 50 years to 100 years. We roam around entire globe and we see these structures are lasting for maybe 100 years or more, or maybe 400 or 500 like Taj Mahal and other stuff. Why it is happening? What was a really role played by our ancestors? I think this is a key learning for us. As a ready-mix concrete industry, we are one of the pioneers for this, contributors for this, and as a developer, builders, contractors, you guys are also involved. So together we can make that change certainly and surely. Now let us focus on how we can bring that change by using certain steps as far as ready-mix concrete is concerned. I think supplementary cementitious product and increasing its ratios can definitely reduce down the cement content and have the durability point of view. You can make the better structures. Of course, the durability and performance based concrete should be the, I think should be the future, okay, and you should concentrate more and more on that. Of course, we are handling the products through transportation and fuel efficiency at RMC plant as well as outside the RMC plant is playing major role. We have studied in many occasions, though I am RMC manufacturer, we can go and take certain little leap to reduce down the amount of utilization of concrete by adopting certain value-added product like high-strength concrete. Because the moment we are using such kind of concrete, of course it is on case-to-case basis, okay. You are reducing the size of the member, you are increasing the durability, and it will indirectly affect on carbon footprint too. When I started my career long back, 25 years back, we used to generally take 1.5 acre land and establish ready-mix concrete. So utilization of lesser land can be one of the key. I will address it in my next slide. Okay. The ready-mix concrete industry also need to control the dust and emission wherever possible. The equipment utilization is also one of the key. See, many times when we are running our plants, we are not really focusing, or maybe it is sometimes ignorance, sometimes force, to overutilize the equipment. Even small concern areas like running our pan mixers or turbocharged mixers for more time to look at the mixes. Each and every rotation of those mixes is adding the extra energy cost and extra efficiency. Those efficiencies can be more or less monitored at laboratory, and the final mixes can be produced out of the batching plant. Water saving is the key. We are one of the highest consuming product like water we are consuming. See, in entire world, the water is the highest consuming product. And after that, the next consumable product is concrete. See, the amount of concrete consuming water is going to add up certain question marks in our near future. So controlling the usage of water is one of the major criteria. Power and fossil fuel is one of the contributors to the CO2 emission, and by efficient operations at ready-mix concrete plant as well as construction job site, we can control and address these issues more refinedly. When we talk about carbon footprint and carbon emission and more sustainable environment, I think we need to look for durable and performance-based concrete. Certain tests like RCPT, MOE, shrinkage, WPT, chloride migration, ISET, we need to ask question for how many occasions or attempt we are looking for this kind of test result and its impact on our structures. Chloride immigration and CI immigration can cause the long-term effect on your concrete and create the weak concrete structures. So analyzing those impact by properly testing it and adhering with supplementary cementitious is one of the key area. Modulus of elasticity, understanding the stiffness of concrete, understanding the creep effect when we are constructing high-rise structure particularly is playing a key role. Water penetration test, water absorption test are giving more increasing life for your durable structures, which can reduce down your maintenance cost and rehabilitation cost surely. This is a classical example of high strength concrete. When you are converting your members from lower strength to higher strength, or maybe avoiding the composite structures, you can go ahead with high performance concrete and high strength concrete. You can have majorly the larger floor spaces for utilization as well as selling when the developer's point of view when they are constructing the buildings. With high performance concrete, you can reduce down the self weight of the structure and make your structures more rigid, more robust. The long-term effect of these kind of things will surely increase the durability of the structure and it will help to create the sustainable environment. Self-compacting concrete is one of the key area where generally we are ignoring because of the increment in the cost. But trust me, the increment in the cost and vis-a-vis the advantages which we are getting are phenomenal. 5% of honeycombing is reducing your 25% strength of your concrete member. And with congested reinforcement, and when you are spending so much on building structures, building sustainable environment, it is a key issue to create the robust structures which are dense, which are more prone to sustain the environmental and other issues like chloride effect and all those weathering effect. You can have noise-free construction and of course you can reduce down on the labor cost. Just now we have discussed about the urban heatlands. The preservation of groundwater and preservation of rainwater and harvesting the rainwater is one of the key which can be addressed to the pervious concrete. Let nature absorb what he wants. So Mother Nature is asking us what you will do. So I think smartly and selectively we can choose this product and restores our hotlands and ecosystem as well. Lightweight concrete. See, today fortunately we are available with lightweight aggregates and we can produce non-structural concrete as well as structural concrete. So if we are addressing the non-structural concrete, then we can have better insulation and better lightweight concrete for non-structural application, as well as we can produce structural concrete with designed aggregate manufactured from certain waste of fossil fuel from fly ash and other stuff. Of course, we can reduce down the amount of soil required for construction of bricks and all those stuff, and we can create eco-friendly atmosphere. Precast concrete is one of the key. You can have assured quality, assured speed, increase the efficiency, and of course, the amount of water we are utilizing for curing can be controlled through this. The usage of water is a key area when we are constructing our building and roads and other stuff. And in entire process, when it is factory made product, you can control on the usage of fossil fuel as well as requirement of energy. This is one of the typical layout of any RMC plant. When I started my career, as I've told you, we used to utilize land around 1.5 acre with 30 cubic meter hour plant. And that time that liberty was there. Today I am handling RMC plants in city like Mumbai, and on that island getting land is a critical area. So giving little thought process and thinking out of box, we have designed plant even in 1200 meter square area, that to commercial RMC plant of 70 cubic meter capacity. And I'm sure we can reduce down the areas further, depend upon the project size or the utilization area and the stock area which is required for producing ready-mix concrete. Imagine your feeding area and the movement of your wheel loader within your aggregate bins and your aggregate hopper. If it is increasing, every rotation of wheel loader is going to cause you in terms of money as well as and in terms of environmental impact as well. The emission and the usage of fossil fuel is going to create little impact. Of course, it is not a big thing, but see, smaller things and smaller steps will going to change this world in long run. The larger area means you have to pave entire area. So you are spoiling the soil and concretizing it. And you are inviting the water table to reduce down because water will not get absorbed in that. Of course, with larger area, you have to light it. Your area lighting requirement is increasing. And with smaller area, you can lighten that area with lesser energy, and you can create more sustainable atmosphere within RMC plant. Equipment utilization is a key. Single rotation of turbocharged mixer is going to cost you as well as the consumption of electricity is going to increase in long run. We have studied in last 2 years time the power consumption of our RMC plant. We have started monitoring it from 2.5 unit per cubic meter, and today we are reaching to 1.4 unit per cubic meter. The cost also it is saving, but you can create the real impact on the environment by saving the energy. Water consumption is one of the key areas which is more fascinating for me. By reducing the water, you can create very larger impact. But when we are operating at RMC plant, I think general water demand in SSD condition is hovering around 150 to 160 liter per cubic meter. And if you measure our actual water consumption, it is going beyond 350 to 400 liter per cubic meter. This gap is basically a creation of mismanagement which we generally tend to ignore. Even if with the water correction, your water demand is not going beyond 200 liter per cubic meter. With the condition of aggregate which we are finding in Mumbai and Navi Mumbai area. And then remaining water, it is just getting waste for cleaning and other utilization purpose. If you will put systematic efforts to reduce down those water consumption and recycle your water at every stage, you can create larger environmental impact. In last 2 years time, we have monitored it every month, and today we can proudly say that our water consumption is reduced to 260 liter per cubic meter. Dust control is a key. If I am moving around my plant, I will not prefer to have dusty environment. Of course, dust on Mumbai's road are more than RMC plants, sometimes I say. But respiratory issues we need to address, and we can fumigate our RMC plant with lower quantities of water and control it. The proper housekeeping, the feeding systems for cement, dust collection, efficient dust collection system are going to create larger impact in long run. We should find a day when we should proudly say that RMC plants are not polluting the mother nature. Average rejection rate or return of back the concrete is around 1 to 2% everywhere, or sometimes it is increasing. Our focus areas are remaining for retention of concrete mixes, but unfortunately, due to many of the stuffs which we are generally try to address also and sometimes ignore also, the concrete get returned back to your RMC plant. It is rejected concrete, and it is a common mindset to throw it in landfills. With proper utilization of recycling plant and washing that concrete, we can reduce down this impact, I think, up to 0%. With proper sedimentation tank and with proper recycling plant, you can wash out the aggregate part. Remaining is a slurry. With further reprocessing of water, you can utilize that water again with proper treatment, and rest of the sludge and dried particles, you can still utilize it. Let us find how. C&D waste management is a challenge across India with every municipality. With C&D waste management, the key is many of the unwanted particles, unwanted kacharas is coming and dumping into your waste bins, and it is a challenge for even municipalities to segregate it. But if we address that segregation issue, we can recycle those aggregate, we can reprocess it through wet processing, and we can utilize it maybe for non-structural application, and we can create certain precasting products like paver blocks, like curbstones for road construction, like manholes, like fencing walls, and other secondary items which we can produce out of it. So imagine you are literally reaching up to the level where you are having zero wastage out of your concrete. Let us build together the more sustainable environment and more sustainable future by exploring different raw materials, by exploring and giving more R&D, research and development on different topics related to concrete, related to construction. The action is the best course of action. That is what I believe. निर्माण की लहर, बेहतर बेहतर शहर. Let us build better cities. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for throwing light on some sustainable practices in the construction space. To felicitate Mr. Sawant, I would request Mr. Kirtida Jilkar to please come up on the stage. Next up, we have with us Mr. Kaizad, engineer. Mr. Kaizad has been the technical director at Ushta Infinity Construction Company since April 2000. He has spearheaded remedial engineering projects for over 175 companies in India and abroad, and has completed over 1,500 projects. He has been instrumental in establishing the sister concern Engineering Solutions LLP in 2004 to serve the increased demand for technical consultancy. Mr. Kaizad has been actively involved as the management representative for ISO and OHSAS certification, ensuring adherence to quality and safety standards. In 2017, he formed strategic partnerships with Westox Australia and Liquid Rubber Canada, expanding the company's service portfolio. He has published 38 technical papers at various international and national symposia and mentored students at various universities. Additionally, he has conducted more than 300 training programs for students, professionals, internationally and nationally. His contributions have been recognized with the Indian Building Congress Award in Built Environment under the category of Rehabilitation and Retrofitting of Buildings in Disaster-Prone Areas in 2004. Recently, he was elected as a member of the Board of Governors for Instruct Institute, Bangalore. We welcome you, Mr. Kaizad, and I request you to kindly address the gathering.
Very good evening to all of you. And today I'm going to take you through some different case studies of repairs and rehabilitation. First we'll go through the less is more, the concept. Often we have seen in the industry that, at every stage we add a lot of factor of safety, and every stage we add up something or the other. And we tend to overdo things rather than, keeping it simple. So probably that sometimes is a problem for structure. When I go through the case study, I'll tell you how this works. And second is on the road to sustainability. Is the journey that's more important than the, we can say the target or the goal that we have achieved. Reason being, often when we achieve the goal, we get, disengaged, and in turn our team gets, disinvested. So always it should be like a journey. Like, we saw the first case study where they made one record, they made the second record. I'm sure you'll overcome, you'll break your own records in future. So that's probably what we should be looking at, as engineers, as even in everything that we do. With that, I take my case studies, I take over to the case studies. So the first one which I'm showing is a City Palace Udaipur. I'm sure majority of you have visited this place. So City Palace was built over the years. If you see the phases of construction, right from 1550 till date, there are 27, Maharanas who have, reigned, and they've done their own construction. You can see, and even you can see it's built around the hill. So you can see trees at various locations. And what happened here was, someone built the ground floors, the first floor, the second floor, and as a result, the structure started cracking because they were not designed for this kind of loads, right? So what they did was, they added walls. So the large spaces which were there earlier were reduced to small compartments. So we'll see that also. And just to add to what Mr. Sawant said, that, structures last for maybe design age of 100, 200, and we see structures which have lasted for 4,500 years as well, pyramids and other structures. So to that, I will say that, structures are like human beings. We can perform better under pressure, but not under tension. So similarly is the concept with the old structures. So they were all designed under pressure, and presently our structure are all designed under tension. So that is also one factor which adds to the, just on a lighter note, I'm just sharing that view. So this was the Salekhana that we did. This is the armory, and there were small rooms. And the issue was, City Palace presently has almost about 15,000 visitors at peak. And imagine a situation, this room only has one access, entry and exit both the same. So if imagine there is some kind of fire or some emergency, it is impossible to exit. So looking to the present requirement, they wanted all these walls which were later added, they wanted to remove all those and convert it into larger spaces which were there earlier. So for us, we need to understand, because a lot of part is built around the hill. So some portion will come in filling, some will come in cutting, and we do not know what kind of modifications were done. I'll show you one room where 4 walls were coming from different centuries. So like these were the walls which were, and the smallest size of wall thickness was 800 mm, this big, and the largest was 2.2 meters. Thick walls, not the size, I'm talking of the thickness. So what we did initially was, we did the GPR survey also. So we wanted to know how the base is there, what is the base of the structure, whether there are some water line, because there were also some places where there were, water seepage is blocking, and other places where there was, in a room you'll find solid rock here, and next place about 2 feet away there's a filling material which is used. So when we do any intervention, we should know what is the base that we are approaching. Then there were some cracks in the structures because there were a lot of modifications done. So we wanted to monitor that supposing if we are making any change in the structure, because while we were operating at the ground floor, and there were 2 or 3 probably floors on the top where there were constant visitors, almost like, as I mentioned, almost 15,000 visitors per day. So imagine a situation if you do something wrong in the structure and the structure collapse. It's a high risk job. So we wanted to make sure that before we do intervention, we have enough of data with us, baseline data, wherein we know that, okay, this is the kind of movement in the structure, and while we are repairing that, and once after we are done with the repair, what is the change in that, readings. So we were constantly monitoring those data, and those data were available online with us, and we had set a threshold limit that if it goes beyond this limit, we'll immediately get an alert in our phones, mails, and everything. And we gathered a lot of data, of course. Because of shortage of time, I'm not going much into the detail. And then we started supporting the structure and opening up the structural walls and doing some modifications in terms of strengthening them. There were also cracks in the stone, because as soon as they started cracking, that is when they introduced the wall. So we were to regain that and also to strengthen the stones. So we introduced some helical bar pins in that structure. Of course, this was designed earlier, and we did a lot of design work before doing this intervention. And there were some additional stone members also that we added in a traditional way, so that it merges with the existing setup. There were some steel members also which were introduced in the structure, also keeping in mind that we have reinforced this steel structure with a reinforced concrete, which is a very high strength concrete. Even if the steel member melts, the concrete itself will be able to, it's a reinforced concrete, it will be able to take the load. So the second line of defense also was there, because we cannot forego the chances of fire that is in this structure. Then this is the wall I'm talking about. See, now we opened up this place because we had to cut an entry through the oldest wall of the city palace, which was done in 1500 for 30 BC. So that is what we AD. So that is where the wall we wanted to cut open. And you can see this is the oldest wall, of almost about 500 years old. This wall which was there was about 350 years old. This was about 200 odd years, and this is about 50 years. And we had to cut an opening through this. So and the wall thickness which we cut was 2.2 meters. And we had to cut it diagonally because, as I mentioned, it was on the hill. So one floor was above here, and the another floor was almost about 7 to 8 feet below. So we had to diagonally cut that. And it was a random rubble masonry wall in lime mortar, and almost about 500 years old. So we built a base there, and we cut this wall through wire saw cutting, because had we gone in for any other method, this structure would have come down. So we resorted to wire saw cutting, which will cut it very precisely, and even the lime mortar joints were not damaged, because that was the condition we had to work with. And there were some members which were introduced. Now you can see a person sitting inside and doing the additional steel members jobs. So you can see the thickness of the wall. And this is the cut section of after the wire saw cutting. And you can see this level, and this level is almost 7 feet below. And then we realized after we opened this, that this wall only had a foundation up to this place. So now that we've cut it diagonally, we need to create a foundation here. And you had almost 3 floors on the top. How would you go below this? So we created a transfer beam and created foundations on both sides and transferred the load. So this is how we designed the system. And this is the small compartments which you saw, and this is the photograph after the finishing of the entire structure. Yeah. So now we go on to the next case study. So this is almost like 70 feet long passage we opened. This one more interesting case we came across was one of the pharmaceutical plants. And the issue was the main structure was absolutely very good. But when they reanalyzed the structure, this is American company, pharmaceutical company, when they reanalyzed the structure, they found that the infill walls on the escape route, almost 220 number of walls were failing. So imagine a situation, there is an earthquake, people are trying to escape, and more people will die because of the wall collapsing than the structure. Structure is absolutely intact. Now the question was, while we were strengthening these walls, we realized that if we try to strengthen this wall, our frame was failing at some portions. And we were left with no option then to do jacketing by conventional method, which would cost take us almost 7 months of time to, again start the plant, and with a cost of almost 25 crores. So then we realized we can use the principle of energy dissipation and strengthen the wall. I'll show you the principle. I'll show you a short video of what energy dissipation is, and I'll discuss further. And by that, we cut down the shutdown time because they have an annual shutdown of every 15 days in a year. So we said, okay, let's take up some of the walls in first year, second year, and third year, and we completed the entire job in 15 days. Each shutdown of 15 days, 3 cycles, 220 walls completed with a cost of just 6.5 crores. So less is more is the example when we talk about this project. So at some, can you play the video please? So in this I'm showing what we have used here is, we are using different modulus of material in the same sheet, like we have done fiber wrapping here. But in a fiber wrapping you have a single modulus of material. We've used different modulus of material. So when there is an earthquake or when there is a impact, the initial material cracks, it allows the energy to dissipate. And the balance material, because the quantity is less, you will have a more displacement, and thus we are increasing the ductility also. So that's the basic principle. So here we are displaying displaying 2 walls wherein this structure was subjected to blast of almost 230 lbs of TNT. That's almost one third the size that was used in Pulwama blast. So you can have an idea. And these are hollow masonry walls, hollow block masonry walls. One is reinforced, the other is unreinforced, and then it's subjected to the blast. You'll see the heat and the shock wave traveling. Now this is the video taken from the inside of the structure where we had reinforced the walls. So in this, what we've done is, it is anchored to the top and to the bottom, and these sides are free. You can't have anchorage on all sides. In our plant, we had anchored it on the sides. So now you can see, measured force outside was 184 psi, and that measured inside was just 1.5. So you're dissipating almost 99% of the energy in this. So similar principle now you can see from the side view, and this is a masonry wall. It deflected almost 4 inches on both sides and it came back to normal. But the wall did not collapse except for the splatter on the wall. There was nothing, no damages observed. Yeah. So this similar, and you can see the brick wall which is unreinforced, it just collapsed. I will see that after that also. Okay. So in that case, and another places where we could easily transfer this to the walls, we used helical bars because this was very fast. And each wall, when we did in helical bars, we could give back one wall within almost 13 to 14 hours. And in the fiber wrapping, which we did for the, energy dissipation, that took us about, almost 18 to 24 hours. But we completed almost single wall within that time, including painting, everything finished. So this is a sample wall we did outside. And similarly in fiber, instead of, covering it with the entire band which you saw in the, the case blast proofing case, here our requirement was not that big. So we used bands of 100 mm thick, 100 mm width at every 400 mm center distance. So that was sufficient enough for us. And anchoring was done on the side by fiber anchors. And this is the steps we've, so earlier we did some samples outside the premises for testing, and the similar was replicated inside the plant. This is the photograph from inside the plant, because we had to maintain hygiene conditions also. Dust, everything was we were very particular in, there shouldn't be any dust when we are working there. And these are some of the walls which were finished. So here you can see, because there was a flooring already on the bottom, we could not do a bottom anchorage, otherwise we'll damage the flooring. So entire anchorage was on the side of the columns and the floor was intact. Yeah, so another example I'm giving is of a bridge that we came across. It's on the Udaipur Delhi highway. So the client came to us and said that we want to retrofit this bridge. So the question we asked was, what is the requirement? I mean, why do you want to retrofit the structure? So they said, when we analyzed the structure, we found that there were some deficiencies in terms of design. So we said, okay, but do you see any kind of deformities in the structure, was the question. And the answer was no. We saw this bridge, and trust me, there was no sign of corrosion, no sign of any distress in the structure. So we said, okay, let's little bit investigate a little and know how this structure is performing. So initially what we did was, we conducted a load test, had some parameters like what is the permissible deflection when we do the analysis, and supposing if we are doing the load test, what are the parameters we are getting, and that and this we monitored because it's a river bridge. So we monitored by a contactless system which is known as the high-speed videography emitter, and by that we can also measure strain because it's a physical property. So we had this equipment too, because we had no chance, because it was river bridge and there was no possibility of monitoring this structure from erecting some kind of scaffolding or something. So we did a contactless monitoring here, and all the data were collected. So loading, unloading data were collected, and the structure performed marginally well in this. I mean, we're just hitting the I mean, we within the limits, but very fine limit. So here then we decided, okay, let's subject this structure to all kind of possible traffic condition and see what data we collect. And that was a real-time monitoring that we did, because often, as I mentioned, there is a lot of reserve capacity in every structure that we forget to discover, or we don't see that in totality. So in this project we decided, okay, let's subject this structure to different traffic conditions, like supposing if there is a traffic jam, supposing if heavy vehicles are moving at high speed, supposing if one lane is jammed, the other lane is jammed. We tried all the possible permutation combination, and then we started taking readings that what is the exact utilization the structure is doing. And that's when this was sensors which were fixed to the system, and all possible permutation were noted at every second, or every readings were taken at regular intervals. And we realized theoretical, and this is one of the properties we are talking about, theoretical deflection was 9.78. That attained while we did the load test was 8.75, and in all possible worst possible traffic condition it was just 0.99. So we aren't using even 10% of the capacity, and we are talking of retrofitting. So sometimes, as I mentioned, less is more. You should see, I mean, whether your structure, just because of one, it doesn't pass in one parameter, it did not happen that you don't look to the other parameters. There is some reserve capacity in this structure. You should always explore the possibility. And after our report, almost 7 years have passed, and this bridge is still functional, and there is not a single crack at the present traffic condition as well. Yeah, thank you. I'll take another case study. This is one more structure in a fertilizer plant, and this is a 126-meter tall chimney. The outer shell is RCC, almost 15-meter dia, and the inside there are 2 steel stacks. And the problem was because of corrosion, there was no access on the top. The staircase had collapsed, the platform had collapsed, the steel section had reduced at some places to even 1 mm. And the issue was, if they continue this way, one day the structure would have failed. And failure means a loss of 21 crores per day for this plant, even stoppage. Constructing a new chimney was not possible because of the congestion in the plant. So they were only left with one option, retrofitting this structure. And that too online. We were not allowed to take a single day shutdown, except for the annual shutdown of 12 days. So initially we explored this entire thing with the drone survey because there was no access on the top, and we realized that platforms and everything had totally corroded. Then we erected, we did some testing on the structure, and we designed a complete retrofit system here. And inside the structure you can see, this was the condition of the steel stack. You can see the layers, almost 30-40 layers of steel here. At places where we tried to weld, it would crack because the thickness left was only 1 mm at certain places. Now we are left with no option. I mean, we can't add additional steel plates because while welding it was just tearing apart. And the problem is not only that, these are dangerous gases. So if we cut any section, a person who's working there would die on the spot, because we needed some gas masks also, because this is a very dangerous gas also. It's a sulfuric acid plant. So there we resorted to different strengthening this structure by carbon laminate and isolating that much portion, transferring the entire load from the top to the bottom, isolating that much portion, mid portion, and that's how we designed the system. So these are laminates which we have used, and the resin which is here is a vinyl ester resin, because sulfuric acid would not, epoxy and other material would not work here. So we resorted to using vinyl ester resin here. And the staircase was replaced by SS304. And the main problem was the top concrete. Because of condensation here, the top portion of the concrete also had corroded and there was no steel left. So we replaced that with a normal steel, coated steel. And later on we repaired it by a resin mortar, because had we used cement mortar, it wouldn't have even lasted for 1 month. It would just debond. The other issue was the wind cutters or the wind streaks which was there. This is 20 mm, supposed to be 20 mm thick steel plate. It's like a perforated, now just like a paper. So that we replaced with composite sections. These are sections made out of fiber which are lightweight in section but very sturdy in terms of weight to strength ratio is higher than that of steel. And there is no corrosion. So even if you don't paint it for another 15 years, it's fine. Because this painting at 124 meter, and this each size is 1.5 meter by 1.7 meter. So you can't have an access to this. And this is structure before and after. And now I'll jump over to the last case study. So I mean, we thought that once we are doing this, and there is a lot of infrastructure in terms of pipelines and other things which is absolutely neglected. You see a lot of retrofitting happening in buildings, in structures, in concrete. But what about the pipelines? When you go to any plant, any refinery, there are hundreds of kilometers of pipeline which are damaged, which are corroded, they're leaking, they're fixed by some, a rubber gasket and a clamping from the top. But what about their durability, or what about the sustainability of such structures? So imagine a case where in certain structures in battery area, you can't do any kind of hot work. How would you change almost like 300-400 kilometers of pipeline? So we've developed a system when you can retrofit a pipeline, create a pipeline around a pipeline without any hot work. So, and in this, we are referring to the codal provision of ASME PCC 2015. That's repair of pressure vessels and pipe equipments. So for that, you need to understand what is the dia of the pipe. We have repaired right from 12-inch dia to 2.5 meter dia. Then you need to understand what is the design thickness of that pipeline, the pressure, the operating temperature, the external condition, exposure condition, all that has to be kept in mind while you design this system. Otherwise, what will happen is, because we are creating a standalone pipeline. So imagine a situation, even if you remove that existing pipeline, our pipeline which we are creating is good enough to take all the loads. So that is how it is designed, a standalone system. So we did a pilot project for one of the refineries, and that was almost about 81 meter of pipeline, which had different kind of bends and supports and different conditions. And in this, this is the condition. Some places it was leaking also. And the condition laid to us was we can't even use any kind of abrasive here to remove the paint also. So we just had to do with this. So we just kept the paint as it is. Wherever it was very loose, we just removed it very carefully. And initially, we all the saddle supports which were there, we filled in micro concrete and made it, so that if we wrap around this, we can easily do it without any sharp edges. And later on, we applied this putty on the top. Now, this putty is designed in such a way that because steel will have a different coefficient of thermal expansion compared to concrete. Yeah, 2 minutes, I'll take. So, we designed this in such a way that this can expand accordingly and will not crack. And later on, we applied one layer of glass because carbon is a conductive material, and normally you do not apply carbon directly to the steel surface because some of these lines are charged. So, to insulate, we applied glass fiber, and we had to pass through a holiday test. So when you do this first layer, they'll take a holiday test, they'll pass current through this, and if there is any void, even fine void, there'll be sparks. So we had to give 100% holiday free pipes. And later on, depending upon the design, we applied different layers of carbon, and this is how the entire pipeline network was restored. And this we've guaranteed for a lifespan of another 20 years. And this is the pipeline completely after repair. So with that I end my presentation. Thank you very much for listening to us.
Thank you, Mr. Kaizad, for sharing those informative case studies and throwing light on some of the important aspects regarding sustainable construction solutions. I would like to request Mr. Vishal Mehra, SBU Head, Water and Waste Solutions, to kindly felicitate Mr. Kaizad. To you all, the keynote speaker of the day, Mr. Anil Kumar Pillai. Mr. Pillai heads the Technical Services Division of the Ramco Cements Limited. He has more than 30 years of experience in the field of construction, cement industry, and teaching in management institutes. With a tenure of 15 years within the Ramco Group, he has played a pivotal role in driving customer engagement initiatives with construction professionals across different states, as well as in international geographies such as Maldives, Sri Lanka, and Myanmar. He has also actively involved in replicating various concrete mix designs developed at the Ramco Research Development Center to various major project sites executed by major construction companies. He is a life member of the All India Management Association, member of Institute of Engineers, and also a fellow member of the Association of Consulting Civil Engineers. He has presented papers on blended cements, blending materials at various forums, which includes the University of Wollongong, Dubai, and Kumamoto University, Japan. Earlier, he was associated with the Cement Division of L&T, ITD Cementation, SCMS Management Institute of Kerala, and Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. It is a pleasure, dear audience, to welcome him today. I would request Mr. Pillai to kindly address the gathering.
Let me first of all compliment Thermax and for having organized Gapshap. Because in this age of digital era, it's very difficult to have a Gapshap, especially, of this thing. And it's more challenging for me because after all the inspirational talks by Kadamji, Savantji, Engineer Kaizad, it's difficult for me to have a Gapshap just before dinner. But I will try to make it as simple as possible. Because coming from the cement sector, we have been able to, and I could make it very simple because all the learnings are from the construction industry itself, because, that is how we have been able to learn from various segments of construction. various challenges that all of you have faced. So that is how it has been. So let me just take you through the presentation, a couple of learnings that we have got from the area of sustainability. Because when you think about cement as such, cement, the moment cement comes to our mind, it is a greenhouse emitter, because the thing is that there are a lot of greenhouse emissions that is coming about it. We cannot entirely make it zero, but then we can make every possible attempt to absorb it, either through afforestation within the plant, or making it green, or making it energy saving. So that is what it is. And cement is not used as cement, as all of us know. It is used in various aspects. So as all of us know, that cement is not, but it is used in various forms: ready mixed concrete, site mixed concrete, as Savantji has dwelt in detail on ready mixed concrete. But as a cement sector, we have to supply to various segments. Like if you take precast concrete is at its nascent stage even in our country now, because if you look at precast, it is just that solid block, hollow blocks. Very few projects are using precast segment on a large scale, which is much more environmental friendly. Then we have the non-structural applications for mortar. But if you look at the performance characteristics of concrete or mortar, it is entirely different, which is not being recognized by many of the unorganized sectors within the construction industry, because they are still using the OPC 53 for plastering, for even for tile fix also, which is something area of grave concern. So where we can at least try to reduce the usage of cement. Of course, this is what basically we can do at it. Like say for example, nowadays we evaluate concrete on the basis of compressive strength alone. Most of us, we say that M40, M50, M60. But are we evaluating the durability? Are we measuring or monitoring the durability of concrete, which to a certain extent will determine the lifespan of concrete structure? Because in our Indian standard codes, we talk about deterioration mechanism, we talk about durability, but we are not able to connect durability to the lifespan of the concrete structure, because such kind of models are not there in the Indian standard codes. Customizing the ingredients. Cement as a commodity has been there, but can we customize cement to various applications? Because nowadays we see that there are various applications. You have concrete with high slump, you have concrete with high one-day strength, you have concrete which has to be 4 hours slump retention also in some places. So those kind of things. So can we customize it? It's possible. Cement can be customized. It is not that we have to define cement in terms of ordinary Portland cement, Portland Pozzolana cement, or Portland slag cement alone, but in terms of performance characteristics for concrete, it can be done. Reducing embodied energy in the sense, how the energy right from the extraction to its use, how it can be reduced, and maintenance of concrete, which of course is a very important thing, but rarely followed. Now, looking at this lifespan of concrete structures, any structures can be, designed for the lifespan it is, rather than designing it for compressive strength alone. Like there is the international models of Life 360 or Duracon model, wherein they have combined different properties of materials along with workmanship practices. Like say for example, if you give a cover to the reinforcement steel, what is the quality and the quantity of cover? Based on that, you can have a probabilistic idea of what the life of concrete structure could be. So it is not necessary that every structure has to be designed for 50 to 100 years. The structure has to be designed for the lifespan it is meant for. So that is very important and key thing that we need to keep in mind. You look at the deterioration mechanism, sulfate attack or corrosion in RCC, both of them, which in fact, ensures that during the deterioration mechanism, the concrete is expanded in volume, maybe sometimes 5 to 6 times, and sometimes a short-term procedure step is being followed. That is, if there is a sulfate attack, why not recommend sulfate-resistant cement alone? But the problem with sulfate-resistant cement in sulfate attack is that if you are not doing adequate analysis of soil, and if there is chloride, SRC cement is weak in resisting chloride. So things like that has to be kept in mind while we recommend a type of cement. So SRC just means that it is good in resisting sulfate, but it is weak in resisting chloride because of the C3A content. So we have to keep that in mind when this kind of problem comes. Of course, these are the basic things that we need to keep in mind. How do we maintain impermeability in concrete structure? We can take RMC. They have a kind of controlled way of making concrete. Precast has a way of controlled way of making. But about site mixed concrete? So in site mixed concrete, we need to see how we can maintain that. many of the places where we go, we see that water cement ratio is not controlled. But today technology has come where water cement ratio can be reduced to as low as 0.2 or 0.25 by the use of chemical admixtures. But then cement content plus blending materials. This all of us know, blending material like fly ash and slag. But the problem is many of the specifications that are there, there has been lot of changes over the years, but still lot of things have to be done, because in terms of usage of fly ash, it is not that usage of blending material is from an environmental perspective alone, but it also enhances the quality in terms of lower heat of hydration, in terms of ensuring that the concrete is impermeable because of the mechanism of what we call the CSH gel, gets strengthened, and the calcium hydroxide, the free lime, gets reduced because of the reaction of this fly ash or slag with those materials. Of course, admixtures has to be used wherever, and it has to be used in a way that it is compatible with the type of cement. So sufficient number of trials is required. So this is what we have done. We have, while we interact with customers of various segments, we have seen that the trials have been done once in a month, or it is not being done frequently. But what is to be done is that it has to be done frequently to check the compatibility of cement and admixture, compaction of the concrete, and adequate curing. All this, of course, ensures that the concrete is impermeable. Some of the durability tests, as Savantji had mentioned, but the thing is that many times it is not being done. Like say, for example, RCPT test, a very simple test wherein the concrete specimen is kept, and based on the electrical conductance, like you have sodium hydroxide on one side, sodium chloride, you maintain a voltage using a DC this thing, and then you try to find out how much coulombs is passing to that concrete specimen, and based on the quantity of coulombs that is there, you determine if the concrete is durable or not. Higher the charge, lower is the durability. So as much as possible, 2000 coulombs, like say for example, critical structures like, nuclear power project, they would like to have least coulomb if it is measured by RCPT, or sometimes they go in for water permeability. Instead of having charge, they use water as a medium of conductance, and water, you will find that when water is forced under a pressure of whatever bar pressure you want, and then you take it within the specimen, you will find that a concrete mix design which is done with a particular mix ratio will be having a higher durability or a lower durability based on that. So here in the water penetration test, we are looking at the limit that the water should not penetrate beyond or at least should touch the reinforcement bar. That is where the corrosion starts. So maximum is the cover to the reinforcement bar, but if it happens to be a strategic structure, it has to be much lesser than that. So this tests are there. Of course, carbonation test very rarely done, where carbon dioxide reacts with concrete, the free lime, but carbon dioxide with calcium hydroxide, calcium carbonate per se may not be affecting the structure, but it is only in the presence of moisture. When carbonic acid is there, you will find that the alkalinity of concrete is reduced. So alkalinity of concrete has to be maintained. The pH value has to be roughly around 12 to 13, so that a passivity layer is formed around the concrete reinforcement bars, so that it does have a longer life. Of course, the shrink crack ring test, there is a view that we cannot check the probability of cracks. In fact, there is no test. There are tests that are there. Shrinkage crack test is one test which can be done to look at the probability of a particular mix design or a mix getting cracked in the future. What is being done is that this is as per ASTM standard. The concrete mix is done on a circular ring, and based on where the deflection changes, the thing is that it is being connected to a dial gauge, and then you have a graph which is there, and suddenly when the deflection changes, you can always predict when the concrete is going to get cracked. In the sense, is the mix having a high probability of getting cracked or not, can be determined. So that can be done. So especially, so all these tests are there. So all the major deteriorating mechanism, whether it is sulfate attack, chloride attack, or cracks, it all can be measured in the laboratory. Of course, all of us know about this. What matters is concreting practices matters, which is, even after so many years, this thing, we will find that lot of small construction segments where they don't have sufficient infrastructure to measure the quality of concrete. Like say, for example, water cement ratio is one of the important thing that we will find is being compromised. You will find that rarely we do the grading of aggregates because there is no choice in many of the places. You don't have, those sieve analysis which we would have learnt in our professional courses. Rarely it can be followed. But the thing is that as the grade of concrete goes higher, it is very critical that grading of aggregate has to be there. And one most important thing is that we can economize on the quantity of cement that is being used if we are doing the grading of aggregate. And if you use cement less, I mean, it is a green concrete that you are making. So that is where the grading of aggregate plays a vital role. Of course, this is cohesion of concrete and usage of chemical admixtures to get the strength as well as the workability is playing a pivotal role in many of the cases. So this is what the sum total of energy required. So in the cement industry, we see how it can be reduced at various stages. Like say, for example, in the abandoned limestone, if you see an abandoned limestone mine, how it can be, afforestation can be created. Like say, for example, we try to follow the Miyavi plantation type, wherein, the sapling of the native species are planted nearby to each other, so that when it grows up, the sunlight doesn't reach the ground and the weeds cannot grow. Some concept of that kind. So we have been able to implement that in many of the abandoned limestone. It is not necessary that one should do it, but when you can convert abandoned limestone into an eco park, that much we are trying to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. So those kind of things. Of course, research and development center plays a vital role. Why? Because each construction site is different. Challenges that they are facing is different. Aggregates they are procuring is different. So mixed design also has to be customized. So as a solution provider, one need to provide this kind of services to the construction segment so that you have those customization in place. This is the mining. It can be done through environmental friendly means rather than only following drilling and blasting. You can go in for surface miners, which is more environmental friendly. Vertical roller mill, wherein again particle size distribution of cement happens to be a major critical role, because that is what, it is not the fineness per se alone. In our test certificate, we would be just writing the Blaine's fineness test, but more than that, the particle size distribution is very important so that you get a economical mixed design and a durable concrete can be made. Cross belt analyzer. As far as the cement manufacturing technology is concerned, India is considered to be one of the topmost as far as the incorporation of technology in the cement manufacturing process is concerned. Like one such technology is the cross belt analyzer. As the raw material comes, online analysis is being done in terms of high grade limestone, low grade limestone, in terms of how much the silica has to be added in the raw mix design and things like that. So this has been a kind of game changer in the cement industry, and which has been one of the, because you cannot replace cement as of now. Alternate materials can be developed in the laboratory, but to manufacture cement on such a large scale, so that the concrete, which is considered to be one of the second most usage material on the planet Earth, if you have to make that, I think we need to see how we can mitigate the emissions. Limestone stacker reclaimer, again, it helps us to reduce the variation in the quality of the cement, the way it is being stored. And of course, all of us know energy efficient process. Cement consumes lot of energy. So how do we actually make it much more efficient? The thing is that usage of waste heat recovery system and usage of green friendly, like wind power energy. We have about 166 megawatt of wind power energy, 27 megawatt of waste heat recovery system, both combined together. In fact, what we have realized from an organization perspective is also that green energy is much more cheaper, and it makes sense even from the profitability aspect to go in for greener energy. So it does the work of both environment as well as being environmental friendly. That is what one type cannot fulfill everything. So we have, say for example, something to fix tiles. We were surprised to see many of them are using cement mortar. So instead of using cement mortar, you can go in for tile adhesive, which can be 3 mm thickness. You don't have to use 8 mm. And after a few days, you will find that there is a hollow sound on the tile and it debonds and things like that. So there are tile fixes which are available. Self-curing plaster. There was this requirement or need from the construction industry that should we do curing? Curing consumes lot of water. So a small step has been followed in development of self-curing plaster, wherein you don't have to do the curing, and whatever number of days of curing that you are doing can be saved. Of course, the next reality is on how to develop a self-curing concrete, which is of course more challenging, because then if you give a self-curing cement and how it is being used in site to make it self-curing concrete is something we need to work on it. So that is what different products for different applications. We need to see, we need to define the properties of concrete, which is being rarely done, except in major projects. Major projects you have all the requirements, but in a small typical projects you will find that those requirements of concrete are not defined. Just I picked up this from Google just to see the kind of dilemma that all of us face. You go to a project site. Now, how do we balance between all these three? You got to have something called the progress. You got to have the quality control engineer, the site, all of them are there. Maybe a couple of more stakeholders are there in strategic projects, but then how do we bring all of them together and how the organization's objectives or the concrete can be made more sustainable from the client's perspective? That is very important. So I would just like to leave you with the thought, does concrete need maintenance? Yes, it needs maintenance, because many of the places if you go, a simple practice of how do we actually ensure that the concrete does not get stagnated. In many of the places we have seen dampness in concrete roof. So is there a provision for drainage of water? A simple example of concrete maintenance. Do we have sufficient number of outlets so that the water gets out during a rainy season? Are some of the things that needs to be done. So concrete can be made, it can be made more sustainable, it needs to be maintained. Maintenance of concrete also needs to be given much more importance. So all these measures, we are sure that will ensure that the concrete can be made much more greener, much more sustainable, and it will fulfill the requirements of the construction industry. So all of us have a role to play. So this kind of Gapshap, I am sure will throw out lot of more ideas. Conversation like this will help us to have more deeper insight. So thank you so much, Thermax, once more for having given this. Thanks, Ravi, for having given me this opportunity for interacting with all of you. And I am sure that this would be very good memories for the years to come. Thank you so much.
I would like to request Mr. Manoj Bhandari to kindly felicitate Mr. Pillai. Our sincere thanks to all the distinguished speakers for those insightful talks. Certainly, there is a lot of learning to carry back home today and rethink our commitment to sustainability. With this, we come to the end of the Gapshap series. We hope the event was as insightful and enjoyable as promised. I would like to now request Mr. Praveen Khanna, National Sales Head Construction Chemicals, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Well, what a night it has turned out to be. And as I conclude the very first edition of this meritorious event, I would say, Gapshap 2023, which is based around sustainability, I would say it is equally important that we adopt sustainability in our lifestyle and also embrace it into our businesses. It is equally important. Tonight, if you see the 4 presentations by the 4 eminent speakers, has really provoked the thought of sustainability in our mind. Herein, I would like to thank Mr. Jagdish Kadam, Mr. Sandeep Sawant, Mr. Kezad Engineer, and Mr. Anil Kumar Pillai for taking out valuable time. Well, as it has been rightly said, that any event is fueled by the pool of its extraordinary audience, and who others it can be than you. Today night, we have eminent leaders from the industry, dealers, consultants, architects, and seasoned applicators, and also everyone in the value chain and my fellow Thermaxians. I would like to give you a big thank to each one of you for taking out of your valuable time for this evening with us. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you very much.
Dear audience, we would also like to have your feedback. There are 10 cards on the tables, so you can please scan and register your feedback there. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Also, there is another announcement. As you move out, please visit our Experience Center, which gives us an overview of the Thermax's sustainable offerings in water management for the urban segment. So please do visit our Experience Center. Thank you all for joining us this evening and making this event a resounding success. Thank you all.
Thermax, conserving resources, preserving the future.